Big Meech is at the center of a major controversy, and the receipts are nothing short of shocking. After 50 Cent dropped paperwork suggesting Meech was involved in snitching, the internet went into a frenzy. But where did all this information come from? Well, 50 has some former BMF associates by his side, revealing insider details.
Let me ask you a question, Cuffy. At any time during the initial stages of your indictment involving this whole Tammy Commons thing, did you talk to Big Meech or did you send a message to Big Meech in any way to tell him or to alert him of what was going on?
We sent Big Meech certified mail. Big Meech set me up, and Tammy set me up with the sting in 2013.
Big Meech isn't standing for any of it, and according to the streets, he's about to remind 50 exactly what it means to be a drug kingpin. This situation is messy, so let's break it all down. One thing about 50 Cent, he doesn't hold back when exposing someone. But he might want to tread carefully this time because Meech isn't just another industry rival. For those unfamiliar, Demetrius Big Meech Flannery is the national leader of the Black Mafia Family, BMF. His empire began in the 1980s selling $50 bags alongside his younger brother, Terry Southwest T. Flannery. By the early 2000s, their operation had expanded across multiple states, including Michigan, Georgia, Florida, California, and Louisiana. With that kind of reach came immense wealth, enough to attract federal attention. To mask their financial dealings, the brothers launched BMF Entertainment, a promotional agency that doubled as a money laundering front. The label even signed an artist, Blue Da Vinci, who dropped an album in 2005 titled "The World is BMF's." However, the law eventually caught up with Meech. In October 2005, federal agents arrested him, forcing him to trade his lavish lifestyle for a prison jumpsuit. Many assumed Blue Da Vinci was the informant since he seemed like the weakest link. Unlike the rest of BMF's key members, he wasn't arrested alongside them. The suspicion grew when BMF's logistics head, Dexter Sosa Hussey, pointed fingers at Blue, further fueling the rumors.
He's like, I just gotta wait to holler at Tammy before, you know what I'm saying, I know where we at with that, and Tammy is a government informant. So when he said that, I was like, Tammy? What you mean, Tammy? Like, nigga, you ain't heard what's going on with her?
According to court records, when Blue appeared before a judge, his lawyer revealed that he had attempted to cooperate with authorities. However, he lacked useful information, which meant his testimony couldn't be used against the remaining defendants. So if Blue wasn't the one who provided critical intel, then where did the feds get their information? Determined to clear his name, Blue decided to reveal the real culprit, and that's when things got even more interesting. In an attempt to shift the blame, Blue Da Vinci leaked paperwork exposing Big Meech during an interview with Cap Capone. News in 2023. That's when fans learned about a key figure in this whole saga, Tammy Cowens.
Well, did Blue Da Vinci cooperate or no?
Yeah, he cooperated. I mean, I didn't say it. It was in Miss Mara Shalhoub's book, where his own lawyer said, yeah, if there was anything else that we could do, Your Honor, to help you along with this case, my client would be more than willing to cooperate with you all to help you in this investigation. But now the thing of it is by you admitting what was done, you know what I'm saying, what you done or whatever, but bottom line is, you know, you didn't take the single plea. You went in and was giving them information on that they already had and thought it was cool, but you still, you know, that was part of that. You just confirmed other that the other CIs just done told.
Tammy had been Meech's business partner since 2008. When he landed behind bars, she stayed in touch, running errands for him on the outside. As a reward for her loyalty, Meech made a shocking decision. He signed over his life rights to her. This meant Tammy had full control over his story, allowing her to sell it and make millions. And that's exactly what she did, partnering with 50 Cent for the BMF TV series in 2021. However, according to the leaked documents, Tammy wasn't just working to build Meech's legacy, she was also working with the feds. The paperwork identified her as CS1, Confidential Source 1, revealing that she became an informant for the DEA in 2009. She provided information in a money laundering case, which led to the successful prosecution of an Atlanta drug kingpin named Terry White. At the time, Tammy wasn't being paid for her cooperation, making her an unusual informant. She had no criminal record, wasn't involved in substance abuse, and wasn't trying to reduce a prison sentence. Instead, she allegedly cooperated because White had unknowingly used her to launder money, and she wanted revenge. But why did Tammy continue working with law enforcement even after White was convicted? That's where things get even more complicated. While Meech was locked up, he was still plotting. Behind bars, he connected with cartel member Fidel Suarez, a trucking company owner suspected of trafficking illegal substances. Though Suarez had been investigated multiple times, he had never been convicted. Meech had a plan: use Suarez's network to move substances and make money from inside prison. But there was one problem. He needed someone on the outside to make the connections. That's where Tammy came in.
One night, and then my homeboy that was with me, he was like, Tone Bird, he from BMF too. Tone was like, ask Big Homie what's up with the movie with 50, like what's going on with him from New York. I had to use my New York accent. Yo, what's going on with the 50 Cent movie? So I'm like, oh yo, Meech, what's up with the movie, with the TV show? Like, where y'all at with that? He like, oh man, it's almost done. The contract almost done. It's almost done. We're gonna be starting. They're gonna be, starting to cast it or whatever, right? He's like, I just gotta wait to holler at Tammy before, I know where we at with that. And Tammy is a government informant. So when he said that, I was like, Tammy? What you mean, Tammy? Like, nigga, you ain't heard what's going on with her? And they were like, shit, nigga, I heard some shit, but whatever it is, that shit ain't got shit to do with me. And he was like, man, I'm gonna hit you back. I'm like, all right, that's the last time I ever talked to him.
According to court documents, in September 2010, Meech contacted Tammy asking her to help coordinate a shipment through Suarez. Tammy, however, was already in contact with law enforcement. She reported everything back to the feds. Using Tammy's pseudo, Intel, the DEA uncovered a partnership between Meech, Suarez, and another major player, Dion Cuffy Gatling. Gatling was a kingpin in his own right, leading a trafficking organization that supplied illegal substances to the St. Louis area. Meech, Suarez, and Gatling had plans to move a significant amount of product. But what they didn't know was that Tammy was relaying every detail to the feds. Eventually, her information led to Cuffy's arrest. On March 13, 2014, he was taken into custody and later sentenced to 27 years for drug trafficking and related charges. But here's the twist. Meech never faced charges for his involvement in the operation. And that's the detail that raised eyebrows. With Cuffy behind bars, many were left wondering, why didn't Meech face charges for his role in the deal? The feds had all the information, yet he was never indicted. The answer lies in Tammy's testimony. During a court hearing, she was directly asked about Meech's involvement in coordinating drug shipments. Court records show that she was presented with statements suggesting that Meech facilitated deals between Suarez and Gatling. But instead of confirming the allegations, Tammy denied them outright. She was also questioned about whether Meech arranged for Suarez to deliver multiple kilos of cocaine to Gatling in St. Louis. Again, she said no. By refusing to implicate Meech, Tammy effectively shielded him from legal consequences. However, this move backfired in a major way. The feds began to view her as an unreliable informant. Making matters worse, she was romantically involved with one of the DEA agents working on the case, a revelation that compromised the entire investigation.
It's believed that Terry White grew up in an Atlanta housing project. But when FBI and GBI agents arrested him last night, he was living here, a sprawling $200,000 mansion in Jonesboro. The 27-year-old was in the process of renovating his home, which features an outdoor swimming pool, a full-length basketball court, and more.
Had a media room where there were 24 TV sets on one wall hooked to a satellite dish. And you could hit a button and all 24 TVs would come on.
Agents seized the home and 3 cars which belonged to White, including this $110,000 Rolls Royce, which was paid for in cash. But there was more to be found inside. $47,000 cash and a machine to count the money. Thousands in gold jewelry and mink coats. A small catch of ammunition and weapons, including a loaded Uzi semi-automatic pistol.
At this point, Tammy had put herself in a dangerous position. She had played both sides, and it was only a matter of time before things caught up with her. In March 2015, Tammy stumbled across a legal motion filed by Cuffy's defense team. The motion aimed to expose the identities of confidential informants, meaning her cover was about to be blown. Understandably, she panicked, and she had every reason to. Cuffy wasn't just any drug trafficker, he had a violent reputation. Court. Records show that in 2010, he ordered a hit on Theodis Howard after Howard provided information to the police about Cuffy's brother's drug activities. In 2013, he had another man, Terrence Morgan, killed to prevent him from cooperating with federal agents. If Cuffy found out Tammy was the informant responsible for his arrest, her life could be in serious danger. Desperate for protection, she'd turn to the feds. But instead of helping, they brushed her off. Left with no options, Tammy then went to the one person she had been loyal to for years, Big Meech.
During the course of this informant relationship, she becomes involved romantically with the supervisory special agent over the task force.
That's Keith Crumb.
So in and of itself, that's going to jeopardize everything that they got going on with respect to the investigation. So she ends up receiving like $200,000 as an informant, where he's the one who signed it off. So now he's maintaining an improper financial relationship with an informant, whom he's also maintaining an improper relationship.
But Meech wasn't interested in getting involved. According to reports, when Tammy approached him about the situation, his only response was that he didn't want his name associated with any of it. It was clear, he didn't want to be on Cuffy's bad side either. That moment changed everything. Tammy realized that Meech, the man she had protected, wasn't willing to do the same for her. From that point on, she did everything in her power to distance him from the case. She even accused the DEA agent she was involved with of being jealous of her relationship with Meech. Court documents show that Tammy, referred to as CS1, threatened to expose an affidavit that suggested the agent fabricated claims about Meech because of personal jealousy, but despite her efforts, it was too late. Tammy may have tried to cover for Meech, but once Cuffy was locked up, he started connecting the dots. He wasn't about to take the fall without exposing the people responsible. Cuffy filed a Franks hearing, a legal motion allowing him to cross-examine government witnesses and informants, including Tammy. This meant he had the chance to directly confront the person who helped put him behind bars, but he wasn't the only one calling Meech out. In 2024, Blue Da Vinci sat down for another interview with Cap Capone News. Only this time, he wasn't alone. He had Cuffy join in via a phone call from prison, and Cuffy didn't hold back. He straight up claimed that Meech used third-party cooperation to protect himself. In other words, Meech allegedly let Tammy take the heat while keeping his own hands clean.
You know, a lot of people, man, is thinking that this thing is made up, or this thing is fake, or that I have an axe to grind. You feel me?
Right.
But I'm in here with a 27-year sentence based on Demetrius Flannery, as you all know as Big Meech, and Tammy Collins, known in the paperwork as CS1.
Right.
Confidential source 1. So what Big Meech did was called a third-party cooperation. So Tammy Collins signed up to be a DEA informant to give Demetrius Flannery a time cut, plain and simple.
Right. So
okay, so can you break down the story? Like, how do you know this? And you know, how'd you come upon this information?
how do you know? How do you came upon this information though?
We were rewarded what's called a Franks hearing. It's based on a case called U.S. versus Frank. So I would implore your listeners to look the case up. And what a Franks hearing entails is that you're able to cross-examine your accusers, meaning government agents, meaning informants, and so on and so forth, just like a regular trial. So this was testified in court.
Period. Point blank.
This was testified in court, that I became a government informant to give Demetrius Flannery a time cut.
That's what was said on the stand, bro. The lady became a government informant to give Demetrius Flannery a time cut.
And it wasn't just talk. Cuffy's own daughter confirmed the allegations as well.
True, Big Meech did a third-party cooperation deal to receive a reduced sentence in his case by setting up a known kingpin from St. Louis named Cuffy. Well, that's the word on the street, so let's get into that. First off, for all y'all who don't know who Cuffy is, he is a known kingpin from St. Louis who did business with Big Meech for over 20 years since 1990. And according to him, he is the first person to ever put $1 million in cash in Big Meech's pockets. And as of today, he claims he was set up by Big Meech, which eventually led to him receiving a 27-year prison sentence. And he claims it all started when Big Meech was in Detroit's county jail when he got indicted in 2005. And while Big Meech was in Detroit's county jail fighting his case, he met a Spanish connect named Fidel Suarez, who had major connections to Mexican cartels out of Los Angeles, California. And Cuffy also claims Fidel was the first target who Big Meech was trying to line up so he can receive a reduced sentence. And Cuffy also claims that the person who Big Meech was using to line up Fidel.
I'm Tamara Gatling. I'm making this recording in regards to my dad. He's Dion Gatling. Most people know him as Cuffy. But I wanted to make this recording so I can shed light on some facts. My dad was set up by one of his best friends, which is Demetrius Flannery, also known as Big Meech. My dad and Meech have been friends for 30 years plus. I've known Meech my whole life. I look at him like an uncle. Like, this situation has been completely devastating on so many different levels, and there's still so many questions that aren't answered. At this point, I can only shed light on what I know for sure to be facts.
To make things worse, the paperwork backed up everything they were saying. According to court records, back in 2011, the DEA gave Tammy an assignment to target Hispanic traffickers. In exchange, she wouldn't have to testify since the DEA planned to deport the suspects rather than take them to trial. But what really caught people's attention was Tammy's real motive. In the transcripts, a DEA agent assured Tammy that she would be paid for her cooperation. But before he could even finish, she cut him off and asked, "Can I get Demetrius Flannery's time reduced?" The agent's response, "We can work that." This revelation led many to believe that Tammy wasn't making these moves on her own. Given her long-standing connection to Meech, and the fact that he willingly signed his life rights over to her, it seemed unlikely that he wasn't somehow involved. That's why some people believe Meech managed to secure a backdoor deal to protect himself, while Tammy and others were left to take the fall. And now, with all these details coming to light, people are finally asking the question. With all the evidence stacking up, it's no surprise that many people now believe Meech found a way to save himself while letting others take the fall. The fact that Tammy explicitly asked the DEA about getting his sentence reduced raises serious questions. If she was working as a confidential informant and was willing to trade information for Meech's benefit, it's not a stretch to think that he knew exactly what was happening. And let's not forget, Meech willingly signed over his life rights to Tammy, allowing her to profit off his story. To many, this doesn't seem like something a person would do for someone acting purely on their own. But the biggest red flag? Cent just made things even worse. See, this whole situation had already started dying down until 50 Cent reignited the fire. And when 50 speaks, people listen. Not only has he been hinting at leaking even more paperwork, but he's also allegedly working on a tell-all project exposing Meech's supposed cooperation. If that actually happens, it could change the entire narrative surrounding Meech. For years, Big Meech has been seen as a street legend, a man who never folded under pressure. But if the accusations against him gain more traction, his reputation could take a serious hit. The big question now is, will Meech be able to clear his name, or will more receipts surface proving that he worked with the feds? One thing's for sure, this story isn't over yet. Now, we want to hear from you. How do you think this situation will affect Big Meech in the long run? And do you believe he and Tammy are truly done as business partners? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. And while you're here, check out this next video. You won't want to miss it.